Is there going to be an eviction crisis in the King County area in Seattle in 2020 or 2021? And how does that impact homeowners and home values? Let's look. All right, I took a lot of notes when I was studying for this, so I'm going to refer to these, but listen, there's a lot of different ways you could slice this pie, a lot of different ways you could examine this. All right, you could look at who do evictions impact? What's the source of evictions? What can we do to prevent evictions? A lot of different conversations you could have about evictions right now. The only thing I want to look at is what is the likelihood of there being an eviction crisis and how does that impact home values in King County? A lot of different ways you can talk about it. That's what we're going to talk about today. So if we look at the numbers, there are 2.2 million people in King County. Okay, of those, depending on how you look at it, roughly half of them are renting. All right, so half of them face potential evictions. All right, we can talk about a foreclosure crisis later. We're not doing that now. But of the renters, 1.1 million people, right? About 45% of them are renting from mom and pop landlords. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Joe Blow own 3 rental properties, as opposed to the multinationals. Because we're going to say, while the multinationals are more likely to evict people, it's not necessarily going to impact home values. And here's why. The only thing evictions have to do with home values really is inventory. Are people going to sell their houses because they're tired of running them as rentals? Is this going to shake out people that were holding on to their homes and using them for income from saying, forget it, it's not worth it, we're going to sell it? Otherwise, evictions don't really necessarily impact home values other than and from an inventory standpoint, okay? If there's more available inventory than there is demand, prices are going to go down. That's really what you want to see when you're thinking about an eviction crisis. The foreclosure crisis, the same deal is, are those homes going to come back on market? Let's just address that. There's unlikely to be a foreclosure crisis because of forbearance has given people enough time to work that out. But the eviction moratoriums, they're good till the end of the year. How much longer are they going to go? And who knows how much longer, if they're coming back with any additional income from the CARES Act, if that's going to get reinstated. So we don't know how many evictions there are going to be, and we don't know if it's going to happen. But if it did happen, there'd be about 450,000 houses we would look at to see what's going to happen with those houses. Those are the mom and pop rentals in King County. What's going to happen with them? So let's look at how evictions work, okay? So roughly over the last, 10, 15 years, there's been about, between King and Pierce County, somewhere around a 1% eviction rate, normally, okay? And of the houses, that people that get evicted, right, not everyone winds up getting on the statistics, because some people, as soon as they get a notice, move out, and they don't get tracked. So you can say that there's usually more people, it's usually about 4 times more people get a notice than are actually evicted. But so it's 4 times the number. Now, 1% in a normal year, the Aspen Institute estimates it could get up to 25 to 30% of renters getting evicted. Now, is that going to happen in King County? I don't know. But nationally, the proportions tend to scale down to Seattle. Seattle's pretty much on the national average, okay? There are certainly cities with higher eviction rates, right? Seattle's not even the top 100 of eviction rates. But for the numbers of renters that we have like that, it wouldn't be surprising to see 25%. 25% of 450,000, even if it's 400,000, 110,000 people, right? Of those segments renting from mom and pop, 110,000 would be evicted. That's a big deal. Now, it's a big deal to those people for sure, but let's look. The question really is still, how many of those 450,000 homes rented by mom and pops, or how many, it's not 450,000 homes because it's 450,000 renters. So let's say it's 200,000 homes. How many of those homes come to market? How many of those units come to market? right? How many of those owners say, you know what, it is not worth dealing with this noise anymore, right? I can't handle it. We're going to sell. So let's just say it's not 450,000. Let's say it's 250,000 units, okay? And of those 250,000 units, what do you think? 10% of them? I mean, we're just guessing now, but could 10% of them decide to sell? 5%? If it was 10%, it'd be 25,000 homes. Do you know how many homes sold in King County last year? Over the last 5 years, it's been right around 27,000 homes. So if 10% of landlords decided they were done, you would double the inventory. You would double the number of homes that were sold all last year. That's ridiculous. That would make it a ridiculous impact on home prices. Even if it was 5%, even if it was just 12,000, that's 50% more homes on the market than were sold last year. That's an enormous impact if just 5% of landlords decide they're out. And that's 5% of the most conservative estimate, right? That's an enormous potential impact. That's just the eviction impact. But you know what happens if that starts to happen is that people panic. The non-landlords see that's happening with the landlords, that inventory is going up, and they decide it's time to get out. Now you have evictions plus panic. Now you got a real problem in home values for the homeowner, right? Home values now are going way down because inventory is going way up. And if you add to that the potential of inflation, now I don't know what the real odds of there being any inflation are, but if inflation should happen to start back up again next year, you now have evictions, a massive inventory from that. Then you've got panic. Now you got inflation, and the Fed's got to start raising the rate, which is only going to make home sales even harder. So the question you got to ask yourself, if you're wondering, is there going to be a eviction crisis that's going to cause a flood of inventory in your marketplace that's going to suppress home prices, is what do you think the odds are of the CARES Act being extended? Right, that would suppress evictions, that people, if they could continue to get paid, right, they can continue to pay rent. Is forbearance going to continue and extend so landlords could continue to own the homes, right? They wouldn't have to sell their homes, right? And will the eviction moratoriums end? So the question really is, are we going to see an eviction crisis? There's a lot of variables in that. I don't know if we are or if we're not, but I can tell you if we do, the odds are extremely high of a correction in home prices. Even if just 1% of those landlords decide to go, you would see an increase in inventory that would start a correction in prices, start a suppression of prices. And the question really then becomes is how likely do you think it is that the eviction moratoriums end, that there's no more unemployment, no more bonus in the unemployment money, there's no more additional funds in unemployment, and we don't get a decent answer to how to deal with COVID? If all those things happen, we got a problem, okay? But we will see. I just wanted you to know all the different factors that need to line up to prevent an eviction crisis, right? And if there is an eviction crisis, what's likely to happen in the inventory? Now, I don't think inventory is going to double, but could it go up 15%? It sure could. That wouldn't be a stretch at all. So that's what you're dealing with. That's what you got to start thinking about in terms of the future. Now, how long would that take? Well, first of all, the moratorium's got to end. And in Seattle, it doesn't end until January right now, and it could get extended. And different counties have different cities have different moratoriums. So the chances are it's going to roll. It won't be a flood. And then as evictions start going to court, well, then they have to go all the way through the process. So again, I don't think this is a turn on the switch and everything happens. This is a slow burn here. I think you should start to look for that at the beginning of next year is probably the most likely outcome for this. And how long will it last and how big will it be and how quick will it unfold? Above my pay grade to guess. But I did want you to know that those are the elements, is that you got 450,000 mom and pops. How many of those units, of those 450,000 units, are going to go to market? What do you think? I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know. Comment below. Share this with your friends. Email me any questions. Comment questions below. Happy to help you with it. Aaron Hendon with Christine Company over at EXP. Wanted you to know what the deal was. Talk to you soon. Bye.